also told him. Thank you, sir. You're hired.
You missed it by 3 seconds.
Government work. Close enough.
Thank you, Josh.
Okay. You guys go ahead and call the meeting to order. A roll call, please. Here.
Here. Here, please.
Here.
Here.
There.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have Colton Bradley that's going to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. First item would be our citizens' time. This would be a chance to address the council. If anybody would like to, if you could just stand up to the mic, could you give your name for the record? We try to keep it within 3 minutes of time. So if anybody would like to address the council, this would be your opportunity. Now, if you're here for the public hearing tonight, you'll also have the opportunity to address regarding the public hearing aspects. Yeah.
Maria Turner on Fayette Street. I'd like to bring 2 items to the attention of the council. One is the state of the South Fourth Creek, down at where Jefferson meets Old Carolina, south of the tracks. During the charrette many years ago, I recall, it's not in the actual report, but I remember during the presentation that the presenters had said that should be a gateway to the town as well, and that has never been realized. I also was kind of looking at Sarah Turner's book the other day, and there was a photograph that I copied that's in the grouping of items that I gave to Jen that showed how lovely it was down there. And I remember her showing me even a personal picture of her and some of her friends boating on that area. There's also photographs of lake of that area, and the water is just everywhere. Included in that packet also is an email from October of 2012 that there is a company angler that will at no charge review and perhaps fix up that area, perhaps with Prince William County and the town, and whoever abuts that land on the south side. But there are quite a few mosquitoes that are causing everyone down at that end not to be able to actually be outside of their homes during the summertime. And I thought that perhaps before Angler got involved this summer, that before they got other requests this summer, that someone on the council could contact them once again. It's been like a year and months since I mentioned it. The second thing is that the Haymarket Drive Elementary School is going to be viable this spring, and I understand that there was, I don't know who's going to it. There were different proposals as to who is going to it. But I know that from working in Fairfax County that there are a lot of kiss and rides at elementary schools. And I would like the council to work with the school system to ensure that those kiss and rides and the buses are not going down Fayette Street. There are numerous buses going up and down Fayette Street all day long, some speeding, and there are actually no bus stops on Fayette Street. Why they are going up and down Fayette, I have no idea. They're cutting through like everyone else. But perhaps if the county schools mandated that the buses should go another way and directed the parents for a kiss and ride to go another way, I would appreciate it, and I'm sure that the residents on Fayette Street would as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your comment. Anyone else would like to address the council? All right, moving along. Sorry. Absolutely, sir.
Hi, Josh Maddox, 15008 Goss Manor Place. I had two quick items to address concerning Sherwood Forest as far as the state that it is in right now with relation to D.R. Horton. We are experiencing a lot of issues with insurance claims and mainly just the overall warranty aspect. There's been a lot of fallback from the general contractor in the area. There's been issues with third-party contractors not showing up when scheduled. And I understand to an extent it's the homeowner's responsibility to come in and take care of problems on their own. However, I have a history of about 6 months worth of emails for the general contractor and the warranty agency, and they have yet to fully comply with my repairs. We're going on month 5, and my 1 year was September 2013. And out of 25 items, I probably have 14 resolved at most. So that's a big deal for us. The other item is Fayette and Washington Street. There is still a continuing issue with yield and right-of-way from traffic coming northbound on Fayette Street, entering Washington Street. My wife and I probably experienced about 8 close calls in the last month with drivers just ignoring right-of-way altogether and speeding right through. So while there has been an increased presence with the police over there, all I ask is for them to be a little more diligent for that specific spot. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. Anyone else like to address the council? Okay, we'll move on to our acceptance of minutes. Were there any changes called into, Jen? Okay. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the regular meeting January 6, 2014, continuation meeting January 15th, 2014, special meeting January 20th, 2014, emergency meeting January 24th, 2014, special meeting January 28th, 2014, and work session January 28th, 2014 minutes.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? I guess as we take the votes, if there's anybody that's going to abstain, just maybe you note the date that the abstention. Okay. I guess we'll vote then.
Bacon.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Harness.
Yes.
Scarborough. Yes. And Moody.
Good.
Great. All right. All right. Now our opportunity, we're going to open our public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a process you began actually February of last year, looking at amendments to our historic district overlay. The product that has come to you has been looked at by the Planning Commission and the Architecture Review Board. What we presented to you last month were their recommended boundaries, which include our 4 gateways into the town and provide the continuity along our major gateways. We would ask that you not take action this evening. It came to our attention that the boundary line adjustment is still pending for Pace West, so it's necessary for that boundary line adjustment to be completed before we adopt the current map as proposed, which would include the entirety of the Pace West campus. So we would ask that you hear the comments tonight. We can incorporate them as directed should you wish any of the maps to be changed, and we'll come back to you in March with a final form for you to take action.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. If anybody would like to speak either in favor or opposed, now this opportunity for this public hearing to come up, just if you can state your name for the record.
Josh Maddox again, and I come into 15008 House Manor Place. I come to strongly oppose the adjustments for the historical boundaries for most of Haymarket, especially Sherwood Forest. Although we do have a functioning AOA, it is ran completely by the builder. It's not set to release back to the homeowners until at least the December 2014. When my wife and I first bought our house in Haymarket, it was the first house, the American dream. Got a great job, great family, and buying a house was really the icing on the cake. And we researched the areas. We were considering Gainesville and other parts of the area. And what attracted us to Haymarket was the small town feel. The title historic itself is something that really means a lot to my wife and I. So to be here for a year and a half and be approached with notices stating that they're going to remove the historical value of my home, that's a removal of my investment. So I do strongly oppose any adjustments to the town of Haymarket. I don't see justifications for having a historical gas station or an industrial area, but to leave us out of the loop. It's just not fair. I don't think there's real strong benefit to outweigh the value that would be removed from our asset as a result. So I am urging everyone to vote against it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to speak at this public hearing? Either in favor or opposed? Opportunity for go ahead, Mr. Thomas.
With council's blessing, I'd like to have Mr. Weir step up to address some comments that I overheard this evening from Gag Rabbit in regards to the fairgrounds property and the inclusion or the exclusion of the backside of that property. If Bob can just address that for the council. Yeah, you, Bob. Come up front. It's the price of right. Come on down. Talk to us a little bit about what Guy was talking about before the meeting as far as the inclusion or the exclusion of the back half of the fairgrounds property and the benefits slash.
It goes back to the original. It goes back to the original reason we left that portion of the parcel out in the initially proposed map. It comes down to what I would view as a better atmosphere for business development there, for development of that property, into something that will enhance the town and be more profitable for the town. It gives him certain flexibility and certain leeway on the backside of the property. You're not going to see it from the gateway. You're not going to see it from the main drag. The only thing you're going to potentially see that part of the property from is perhaps the entrance ramp from 15 to 66 eastbound. And even then, I suspect that it's going to be masked by either screening trees or by the walls of the ramp itself. So it's going to have limited visibility. And personally, I think that if you leave the front portion of the property in so that it blends with the rest of the town, blends with the historic aspect, and leave the back side of the property out, the part that backs up to 66, I don't see any real downside to it. It affords him a bit more flexibility in the development of the project. He's not necessarily be completely tied to the historic district guidelines in terms of materials and that in the backside where nobody can see it. It might make development of the property a little more of a profitable venture. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to economic development. Does it afford him a greater flexibility and a greater opportunity to develop the property? In my view, yes. Does placing the whole thing within a historic district garner any real tangible benefit? It's arguable. I mean, I suspect the only people that are going to see that portion are the people that are on 66. So I just don't know. I just don't see the impact, given that most of them are traveling at bare minimum 60 miles an hour, with the exception of those traveling down the ramp. I mean, I talked to Guy, and correct me if I'm wrong. The indication I got was it was preferable for them to have the rear portion of the property outside of the historic district for those very reasons, but that's the call you're going to have to make. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence of it. The only thing that sways me to the side of favoring taking it out is the perhaps enhanced economic development possibilities for it. That's it.
Thanks. I just wanted, since I had a private conversation, I wanted everybody else to be privy to it.
Okay.
I just have one comment on that. Wouldn't it be more visible, though, once we actually have the new ramp that's coming, the flyover ramp? It would make it even more, because it would be at height. That would make that whole area quite visible.
Potentially.
Mm-hmm. I suspect that it would be masked by trees and everything else is suspect. Assumption that it would be masked by trees.
Well, it's going to be masked by whatever gets developed on the Corals property.
Right.
I mean, that's going to be what's going to be mostly visible if you're coming off the flyover ramp. It's going to be the Corals property at the intersection of 66 and 55 and 15 before you get to the Fairgrounds property. The Fairgrounds property is going to be masked by the dividing property, the dividing trees right there, the CVS, the Faulkner Bank, and Chick-fil-A, et cetera, et cetera.
Coming off the ramp into our town.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a hypothetical, but
Yeah.
My point of that was Guy made a comment, and
Right,
Guy
understood.
wasn't standing up during the public hearing. I wanted to have Bob speak for Guy.
Marshall?
When you have a piece of property, you don't have a development plan.
Come on up front.
Yes, sir.
Talk to him, please.
My name's Guy Gravitt. I live at 8404 Leesbridge Road in Warrenton, Virginia, and we represent the fairgrounds property out in Haymarket with some partners. It's hard to come here before you without a development plan and say that changes to your comprehensive planning could impact us in the future. And we always anticipated that when we were ready to bring forth a development plan, that there would be some discussion and some dialogue. I think we visioned that site to be mixed use. When you have 21 acres in today's environment, unless you have a very big box, a very big user, it's hard to develop it in the way that fits your ordinance. Most of your ordinances are not calling out for large retail uses. They're calling out for smaller uses. And we're even in where we're developing in Arlington County having trouble with small retail uses. I'm not going to blame it on the internet, but I'll blame it on the internet. The restaurants are predominant users today. If you're fortunate enough to get a bank, you do well. If you get a pharmacy, you do well. And if you see those type of uses, they're coming forth. We can't multiply those uses over 21 acres and make a viable development project today. So we always anticipated a combination of residential, office, and retail to develop that 21 acres. So I guess all that we can ask for is that to have an open dialogue when we're ready to bring someone forth. And any flexibility that we can have in planning is, I think, very important because we're dealing with a very tough economic climate today. So that's...
Guy, if you and your company had to forecast long-range planning development of that property, how many years out do you think you really are before you come back to...
The interesting thing is that was a partnership that was established in 1974. They bought that property in 1974, so very, very patient. And I think we had wanted to see things happen. I think last time we got excited about a potential use was Wegmans, because we thought Wegmans could do something to kind of make it a cool development. But Wegmans went to 29, and even if we had had Wegmans at the time, we're not sure whether that would have been acceptable to the town, because you look at the town's ordinance and we can't get above, 35,000 square feet. So it's a lot of times when somebody doesn't have a good answer, they just say it's a long-term investment. So if I had a better answer, I'd give it.
Gotcha.
Did your idea of the high-end luxury apartments kind of go off?
Well, no, I think we're interested in that, but I don't think we were really together also. We're not battlers. We are real estate people that do not want to get into a hassle with if the town would be interested in something like that, we'd bring it forth, but we're not trying to, pound our fists and say, we got to have this, we got to have that.
Right.
But
that was an idea that would work.
We thought it would work, yes. We thought it would work, and we thought that we could probably get it financed. And that's something that we would hold long-term, the residential, so. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And for the record, I got a phone call from Dottie Leonard that says she's strongly opposed, and Dave and Marie Klein also strongly opposed to this proposed ideas.
Changing it all? Or
Changing it all, correct.
Marchand, exclusion of the back end of the fairground property. That excludes it from the aesthetic review of the ARB. That doesn't affect buffer yards or elevation or anything in that nature, correct?
No, ma'am. The Planning Commission and the Council will still have development review of any site plan that would go on the property.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. We'll go to our agenda items. One thing we want to probably add to our agenda is an executive session. There's a couple items you're aware of, so maybe if we can add that to full council time, maybe after the last department report. No objection. Okay. All right. Our first item was historic district boundary amendment.
Motion to table till March.
Okay. Second. Motion and second. Any discussion? Ms. Harness. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Carries. Next item is our Eagle Scout request from Clayton.
Hello. My name is Colton Bradley. I'm 14 years old. I'm a freshman at Patriot High School. I've been in scouting since around 2007. And when I first joined this troop, I learned very quickly that the relationship between this town and the troop is we've been really closely tied for a very long time, 25 years in fact. So, some of you might be thinking, what is an Eagle Scout project? Eagle Scout project is something a Life Scout has to do just to become eligible to do the board of reviews and meetings to become an Eagle Scout. So, what it requires of Boy Scout, Eagle Scout project is not to just better a organization or church or anything, but to hone leadership skills that you have gained throughout your scouting experience. So, my proposal is to replace the Haymarket sign at the corner of Washington Street and Blight Avenue. Let's face it, the sign really doesn't represent the town very goodly. I mean, literally it is falling apart. So, if you want to turn to page 7, you'll see some pictures of the sign that we've taken that just show, how in bad shape it's in. So, the next step to doing this is seeking the approval of the same design or a new design. So, and no work can be done until we come up with a design that would best fit the sign. And other questions that I have is if you guys would want to change the location of the sign, because since it's right under the power lines, it detracts from the appearance. And then we've already talked about the designs, and there's only 3 little signs on that big thing that represent 3 organizations. I was wondering if you guys would get some more organizations that are around this area to put on there to make it look more appealing. And then contacts for the organizations if we find any. Is there any questions you guys have?
Questions?
Comment. We talked about this at our work session, and we actually would like for you to work with Councilwoman Harness to work on the design. She's part of our architectural review board.
Okay.
And so she represents our interest on the ARB to make sure that the sign comes in aesthetically pleasing, matching the colors, the materials, etc.
Okay.
So I believe that you can get her information from Jennifer and then work with Catherine to move forward. But we like the idea and we appreciate you taking the time to come to us and suggest it.
Sure.
I look forward to working with you very much so.
Thank you.
Our next ARB meeting is on the 19th of February. I would love it if you would be there.
All right. I'll be there.
Okay. One other comment, location. Since we are doing a boundary line adjustment, this might be a good time to approach QBE and see if they'll allow it to be right at the entrance of the new town limits, right there. Okay. And it would also get it away from the power lines and that corner there that has all that there. Don't know, it's private property, I don't know if you'd be willing, but that might be another thing.
I can email Sean as well.
And we can also move it to the end of the Hereford property at
Correct.
White also.
Great.
Yeah,
We have many options that we can talk about.
Another thing that I'd like to say is that it's also a way of thanking you guys for letting us do our hot dog stand at Haymarket then. Since we were almost about to be kicked out of that, we were pretty sad. And you guys said we were allowed to stay there, so it's just a way of thanking you for letting us stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
We'll see you on the 19th. And Jen will get you my contact information, and we can talk before, and during, after, any questions you have.
Thanks, ma'am.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Colton, that's not your Jeep on the grass, is it? In the picture, there was a Jeep back there. I was going to get parked up. I'm also an Eagle Scout, so I can do that to you.
All right. Our next item is our code of conduct. Steve, Rebecca, do you have any comments on this? This is our...
No, we're comfortable with where it stands right now. We want to see if there are any comments that the rest of the council might have on it.
Around the table, Ms. Harness, anything?
Nothing, I like it.
Mr. Scarborough?
No, looks like we picked number 11, so I'm good.
Mr. Tidworthy? Mr. Tobias?
No comment.
So are we comfortable with the motion? Entertaining the motion.
I'll make a motion that council accept the attached, I don't have a number or anything, attached town council and appointed officials code of ethics and standards of conduct as shown in our package.
Second.
A motion on the floor that's been seconded. Ms. Fair, discussion on the motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just for clarification, when we say accept, the council will accept them, do you mean that they will adopt those as final?
Yes. I will amend my motion to say adopt those. Thank you.
Okay.
My second's still good.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scarborough?
Yes.
Done.
Great.
All right. Next item is our resolution for special election.
We had a discussion on this last week at the work session. The issue with the term limits for the folks, citizens who weren't there, and I guess it wasn't broadcast, so the people who might be watching tonight, the term limits are not an option that the town can adopt because the requirements for holding office in any elected office in Virginia are set by the Virginia Constitution, and you can't change the qualifications for office without changing the Constitution. So if you had a charter that said you can't serve more than 2 terms, that would disqualify people who would otherwise be qualified to run for office. And so the Attorney General has defined that would be unconstitutional without a constitutional amendment. So the council wasn't inclined to pursue a constitutional amendment last week. So that's not an option. But what we're talking about here in this proposed charter amendment is to move from the current 2-year terms to 4-year staggered terms. So in other words, each election year, every 2 years, there would be either 3 or 4 seats open for candidates. It'd be one time it would be 3 council members, and then the next time it would be 3 council members and the mayor. And so alternating every 2 years, you'd have either 3 or 4 people running, depending on whether it was the year that the mayor had to run again. So that's the proposal that we have drafted. If we're going to get it on the May 2014 election ballot, then council needs to act on that tonight because I need to get that to the registrar of voters in Prince William County in order to get that on the ballot.
And just for clarification, this would just allow the voters to decide whether or not to
Right. Yeah, I should expand on that a little bit. What would happen would be there would be a referendum that voters would vote on, and the referendum would be to ask the General Assembly to change the charter. So there's a three-step process. Your vote here allows the citizens to vote in May to ask the General Assembly to amend the charter next January 15th.
Okay. All right.
I make a motion to move to authorize the town attorney to submit to the Prince William County Board of Elections a referendum for the May 2014 election ballot to switch the length of town council terms from two-year term to 4-year staggered terms at the May 2016 election.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded by Mrs. Scarborough. Discussion on the motion?
I still have some concerns about the possibility of opening up our charter to the General Assembly to make changes. I know we've had differing opinions from different legal counsels on what that could then do for us or do to us. Should we present our charter as an open book and allow the General Assembly to strike things, add things, etc.? And that's a concern that I have as far as submitting this down.
Just for clarification, this referendum's not binding. If the new council comes into play and feels they don't want to move forward with it, they do not have to, correct?
No, I'm afraid that once it's been put in the hands of the voters, you
Okay.
have to send it to the General Assembly to pass this.
It was my understanding that, as we discussed before, that, Jay's right, that there are some times when you open up your charter, strange things happen.
Right.
But it was my understanding that past communities who have done this recently, if they just ask for that one thing, that generally there's been no other things happen to them. They didn't ask for 5 things. They asked for the one thing. It was the staggered term limits, and there has been no issues so far.
I haven't done any statistical analysis of that, but yeah, there have been some localities that are exceptions, and of course they tend to get more attention than the ones that just sail through. But the one that comes to mind is Front Royal, which asked for the November elections in even years and got it in odd years, or vice versa. So that was one change that the General Assembly has done. So yeah, you do run that risk, absolutely. And to go back to Councilwoman Baer's question, if you wanted to have the next council make the decision, you could have the council could convene in July and decide to put it on the November ballot, because there will be a November election here as well because of the congressional elections. So that's another option.
Any further discussion?
I just don't know that we're doing a good enough job of the motion as it's written, that, as you would have it on the ballot, to me makes sense, but I don't know that we're doing a sufficient enough job educating the voters of what opening the charter to the General Assembly really would actually do. And I think that, honestly, Martin's idea and Rebecca's idea of letting the next council decide probably makes, in my opinion, makes more sense. I think that we would have time, we as a council could solicit more input and do some more educating on what this actually could wind up having occur as far as General Assembly's powers to change our charter. And by then, in July, the next council, the next mayor can take action should they choose and put it on the ballot. So I don't know if you'd be open to withdrawing your motion and moving the table to the July whatever meeting for the next town council, July 7th, and let them deal with it.
My question is, when would that council have to make a decision to get on the November ballot, and therefore would they have enough time to sit and actually discuss it as we have for the last 6 months?
You need about 3 months. So you backing up from November, you'd have August. August that would be the last time.
So they would meet for the first time the first Tuesday of July, and they would have to come to an agreement and pass a motion by the first Tuesday of August, which gives them 4 weeks in office.
Well, yeah, but my argument against that would be anybody who's considering running for the council in May should probably start paying attention to what the council's thinking about and talking about and doing.
Should, yes.
Well, absolutely should. Otherwise, we're doing a disservice to the voters. I think that if we do our job, and like I said, do some more educating, put some more information out, do a mailer, whatever, email blast with Jen, I think that would get the message out between now and July, so that the next council would have plenty of information, the voters would have plenty of information, and then they can make their decision July 7th, August 4th, continuation meeting August 11th, whatever they want to do. I'm not a big fan of people on the way out making decisions that are binding for the next group of leaders.
It has to happen somewhere.
Well, no, I understand. I'm not arguing that point. I understand. But there's something to be said for making a significant change like this, whereas, like I said, I don't think we've done a good enough job of educating the people. We don't even realize 100% what could possibly happen if we open up our charter as a General Assembly. To me, that's an intimidating factor. And unless, I know for one thing, none of us have contacted anybody down in Richmond to talk to them about this issue and talk to them about, hey, if we offer this referendum and if we get this referendum passed and if we send this down to you, how do you think that's going to go? That's something that we'll probably try to use as political power to do, and talk to our representatives in Richmond and say, hey, if we do this, how do you think that's going to go for us? Especially given, all of the good, positive press we received in the last 6 or 7 months, maybe Richmond won't be so inclined to do us any special favors. I would be very cautious just opening up our book and saying do what you want with it without doing some political maneuvering beforehand, whether it be from a staff position, whether it be from a town manager position, whether it be from a council or a mayor position, and talking to the folks in Richmond and saying, hey, if we open this up, what do you think? I just think that makes more sense. I think, I'm not going to say we've rushed into this because we certainly have not rushed into it, but I think that having thought about it enough and having concerns from other residents in town, I think that the best decision would be to allow us to let the next council make it. And in the meantime, we can do some political maneuvering, some advertising, some education, so that council hopefully will have a nice, long, detailed report by staff, Brian, when they convene in July. And quite honestly, at that point in time, if they have a nice, long, detailed report, they shouldn't need 4 weeks to make the decision.
Well, it's not to say that they can't, that can't be provided to them right after the election.
Precisely. I mean, historically, folks who win an election in this town,
which give them 6 weeks,
typically begin attending the meetings, and typically we've started to include them on certain emails that gets privy to the council that are certain privileges attached to it, et cetera. So I think that we have plenty of time to educate the upcoming members of the council. But again, I'm reluctant to handcuff the next council to the decision made by this council on our way out the door.
I withdraw my motion.
Therefore, I move to table.
Well, wait a minute. First, we got a motion on the floor that's been removed and seconded.
I didn't second that one.
I'm sorry.
What is the motion for withdrawal?
Mary Lou, I'm sorry.
Not withdrawal, second. Motion for withdrawal.
Mary Lou, you agreed. Okay.
So therefore, I move to table discussion of the resolution for a special election until the July 7th, 2014 council meeting. And in the meantime, for staff to work with the council to give us some ideas on how best to position this for the next council in July going forward.
Second.
The motion has been seconded. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Scarborough?
Yes.
And Smiles?
Item E, site plan approval extension.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything further to add. It's ready for action by the council.
I move the town council reapprove the final site plan FSP 2008121 Haymarket Baptist Church, building addition and parking expansion prepared by Ross Franson Ratliff, dated May 15, 2007, sealed May 16, 2013, but expressly conditioned upon the following. 1, recordation of the stormwater management facilities maintenance agreement providing for maintenance of all such facilities without cost to the town for all on-site and off-site, if applicable, stormwater facilities to be installed in conjunction with the development of the subject property, and 2, payment of all costs, fees, and expenses due to the town. And I further move that the town council, pursuant to sections 58-699C and 58-703F of the town code, approve the alternative buffer yards and waiver of the perimeter parking lot landscaping as depicted on sheet 6 of FSP 2008121. And I further move that the town council approve the record plat titled Record Plat showing consolidation and various easements of the property of trustees of Haymarket Baptist Church, prepared by Ross Franson Ratliff, Ltd., dated July 7, 2008, and its associated deed of consolidation and easement, subject to but expressly conditioned upon the following. 1, recordation of all plats and documentation in a form and substance as approved by the town attorney, and 2, payment of all costs, fees, and expenses due to the town, and 3, the foregoing 2 conditions to be completed and satisfied within 90 days of the date of the town council approval, otherwise the approval to be void and no further effect.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Excuse me, Aiken?
Yes.
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 Scarborough? Yes. Kenworthy? And Betts?
Great.
Just as a sidebar, the length of that motion helps us create history when we're all gone. We can go back and figure out what's going on. Thank you.
Glad I marked history.
Our next item is a request for proposals of parking ordinance review.
Mr. Mayor, we come to you with this last council meeting. We had vetted the RFP with the commission, and we've come back to you requesting action that we be authorized to advertise the RFP. We did note in the attached item that the amount not exceed $15,000. With some discussions with Brian, this was considered appropriate. That way we'll get scopes that are realistic for what we're trying to do versus kind of a hodgepodge of things that we may not be looking for or willing to pay for. So we would suggest that draft motion 1 at the end of the sentence add the phrase not to exceed $15,000. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
I move the town council authorize staff to advertise the attached request for proposals for a parking ordinance and needs assessment and return to council with a recommendation regarding an awarded contract for said proposal not to exceed $15,000.
Second.
Motion's been second. Mr. Darrell, any discussion on the motion?
First time I see the deadline you chose was February 28th, which is rather short. Are you comfortable with getting enough proposals and enough responses in such a short period of time, or should we extend that for a few weeks?
I'd start with Brian. The intent was to move it back based on the council election this evening, but thank you for pointing that out. So we would just say March
15th?
March 15th, yes, sir.
That way you guys can consolidate and report back at the April meeting?
Yes, sir.
Does that give you enough time?
I believe it's a Saturday.
Well, I don't care. Didn't they do on the 14th?
Yeah,
Friday, March 14th would be helpful. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
So amended.
Second, still good.
Seeing no further discussion, roll call vote.
Well, actually, as part of your motion, could you return to council on at the April 7th council meeting with a recommendation for award not to exceed? That way, the deadline of March 14th and then the meeting.
So amended.
Thank you.
So seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Harness?
Yes.
Scarborough?
Yes.
Kenworthy?
All right. Moving toward department reports. The treasurer's report.
Good.
Anything further from our workshop?
I wanted to ask Jen, have we made any progress back on reimbursements yet for the first payment to Finland? You're supposed to be, you're keeping a calendar of submission of the bill and What's our time period look like right now?
We're on track. We're still within our 30 day.
From the first invoice we paid?
Yeah, unfortunately, the holidays had it hung up at Econ. And the initial submission. We're getting ready to submit it.
Yeah, no, it's that different product.
Yeah.
It was a big one. Move to accept treasurer's report as presented.
Second. Question and second. Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So noted. Engineers report.
I call it engineer.
I apologize for missing the agenda meeting. And during my section on the engineer's report, it was my understanding there were some concerns raised by the council that our contractor is not adequately keeping Washington Street clear of mud. So I wanted to come back and address that issue with you.
I thought it was the Haymarket Baptist parking lot on Washington Street.
It's a combination of things. And after hearing the concerns, I went out and I looked at the site and I looked at the Google Earth images available of the parking lot prior to construction occurring. And the fact that the parking lot is muddy and tracking mud out onto Washington Street is due to the natural deterioration of the parking lot itself, not the construction activities. There's actually the existing images show that they already were missing the gravel throughout the loop. And what's happened is that this winter, unlike the previous winters, we've had a lot of the rain, a lot of the freeze thaw, and a lot of plowing. And what that has done is made the condition of where that inner track already didn't have gravel, it scraped off all of the existing cover that they had, and that's why it's so muddy. As a matter of fact, I talked to the VDOT inspector as well. And there was one day when the contractor had a temporary entrance and went through the parking lot where it was muddy. So he had the contractor go in and lay new stone. And if you go out in there and look at it, you can see where the stone was, where he replaced it, where he had done some damage to the parking lot. So what's happening now is just a natural condition of the parking lot deteriorating. And my guess, I have not confirmed it with the church, my guess of them not performing the maintenance on the parking lot because they anticipate implementing their site plan.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I also understand it seems like it's been accelerated by the increased heavy traffic of the heavy equipment going up and down there as well. I know that it's... Yes, I've seen over the years where they grade and scrape as well to bring up the gravel, but it just seems like, unfortunately, we don't have anyone here from the church, but that this has accelerated the life of it, and it's a muddy mess, obviously.
It is a muddy mess. I was actually out there taking pictures today. And a lot of the mud, the whole thing is very muddy, but you can even see that there's mud on the exit on the western side. And the VDOT inspectors have been very careful to make sure that the contractors have not been using that exit. And actually, and like I have even Google Earth pictures that show before construction, you can see that there was already basically a dust track there. In other words, the gravel had already been displaced. So what's happened now that it's been muddy, or now that it's been raining, and this winter we've had a lot of the freeze thaw with these severe temperatures, and it brings all of the fines up. I believe that my professional opinion is that this would have occurred even if we were not there. And when we were there and did damage, they did go out and place a strip of stone down through the parking lot to repair any of the rutting or damage that they caused. So the fact that the rest of the parking lot still needs to be fixed, that was something the Haymarket Baptist Church is going to have to address anyhow. Like I said, I did go ahead and talk to the VDOT inspectors, and he confirmed my opinion. I asked him what was going on, and he had the same opinion I did before I even gave him mine. So I got a secondary confirmation that that is, in two professional opinions, what's happening in the parking lot.
So you feel it's just a maintenance only, that nothing could have accelerated this by that heavy equipment?
I believe that the parking lot was going to do this anyhow. I honestly am looking at the pictures. If you want, I can...
And with Google Maps, is there a timestamp to these things?
It's 2013. But you can see the construction. You can see the fact that by the virtual fact, you can see the track. That's what leads me to believe all of the gravel had already already been displaced throughout that track. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that color of the dirts and the fines coming up through there. And then there's a road view, and it's not super clear, but you can see that it's not like you have a fully stoned lot.
Correct, exactly.
So it is my professional opinion that that's why this is happening. It's just one of those situations like when you take your car to the mechanic and you get it back, and the next day something breaks, even if you didn't touch it, you think he did it. It's how things go. So, and included in there are some pictures I went out and took today.
Have you been in contact with the church?
We have not been in contact. Brian and I can do some follow-up work with the church.
Good dialogue to have.
But I do want to say that it's not from the contractor's lack of diligence. He hasn't been sweeping on weekends and stuff for something that he didn't cause.
Okay. All right. Any other things on your report there? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, planners report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only thing I would add, and this piggybacks on the conversation I had with Councilman Tobias tonight, is I have gotten calls about signage along Route 15, both from the Haymarket Industrial Park, which is the Rose Complex, and then Mr. Lombardozzi's warehouse where Jumpin' Jimmy's and Next Level Fitness is. And also, talking with Councilman Tobias tonight, there's the tenants in the Leeberry Shopping Center also looking for some visibility from 15. You may note there's a subway sign on two pickets out there, and it tends to come up and come down. So within our ordinances, it's difficult to get signage along 15 that can be seen readily. But I wanted to work with those two owners and perhaps come back with a concept that the council can look at and perhaps address. Both of those properties are within our I-1 district, which is a different standard. And actually, we envision for having a single sign just for the Haymarket Industrial Complex, which is much higher than all the other signs in the other districts. So just give you a heads up that I'll be working on that pretty soon. Thanks.
All right. Question from Rashawn. You see a report which we had Denise at our workshop?
Just want to go on record to thank Denise so much for setting up that Parent Health and screenings. It was a wonderful opportunity for those that took part in it, and some very good information.
Yes, and just for the listening audience, they had offered to all the town employees a free screening that included our cholesterol, an EKG. They did an artery scan.
Carotid ultrasound, the blood pressure,
BMI count as well. So it was very nice when they offered their service on this past Saturday. So I think I've got a letter of thank you to sign to send to Dr. Ghaffori for doing that. Next item here is our police report.
Which council members and employees participated in that, by the way?
So I know Jennifer did, myself, Denise, Kat. Yeah. Police report.
Hope you enjoyed it, because now you won't be able to do it ever again, because of rule number 7 in the code of conduct. Some of us knew that beforehand, which is why we didn't do it.
Okay. The police report. Steve, maybe you can...
I'd just like to make one statement before we discuss the police report that we have, I just wanted to state for the record, we have 3 highly effective police officers out there doing their best to cover the town in this 2-month period that we have the situation that we're in. And I've met with them, and they're willing to work with us in any way possible to make this happen to the best of their ability. And I just want to say that I think they're stepping up as best they can, and I appreciate their efforts to try to get through this 2-month period.
I agree.
So, thank you.
If we also see a more increased presence from the county, Chief Hudson has put out there that his officers, when they do have the ability to be placed in town, and just, if you notice them now sitting in Pace or in one of our back parking lots as well, just as an increased presence. Okay.
From our work session, did you and the 3 officers decide to fix the schedule, or did you come with numbers for how
That
many
will,
part-time?
yes, we'll be talking about that after the closed session.
Oh, okay.
All right. Mr. Henshaw, Town Manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only thing I would add, I know we didn't have a building inspector's report, but I would like to call to your attention Soil Consultants and Engineering is with us tonight. I believe he wished to address the council if given an opportunity.
Good evening.
Hello, sir.
Doug Smith, Soil Consultants Engineering. First off, I'd like to thank all of you for allowing us to work in the town with you guys. We have very much enjoyed the work that we've been doing, and we appreciate you guys letting us do the work. You know, we do all the building inspections and the plan reviews for the town. And right now, I feel like things have been a little bit on the rocky side, and I understand that. We're doing the best we can to get that fixed, and that will be fixed very shortly. But I just want to let you know that we still do really appreciate the work, and we look forward to working with you guys for many more years to come. Also, would just like to say, if you guys have any questions, if you need anything, any problems, I'm always available. You're more than welcome to call me at any time of the day, and I'll be happy to talk to you about it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you for coming out.
I don't have anything further to add, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. Some of the items that did come out of the work session I am working on currently with regard to VDOT and regard to potholes, and so I'll be coordinating with them.
Okay.
See if we can get some of our potholes taken care of.
Right. Okay. Any further questions? Nope. Okay, we're going to go to our added item, executive session. Mr. Freeman, if you could bring us into executive session.
The form of the motion would be to move that the town council convene in closed session to discuss personnel matters as permitted by Virginia Code Section 2.23711, A1, specifically the town police department. Does that cover both the items?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Yes, sir. Okay. So the motion has been so moved.
So moved.
Ms. Harness, seconded by
Second.
Mrs. Scarborough. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I was having a discussion with the attorney about this.
No. If it's defeated, then you don't go into closed session. If you don't know, then nothing happens. It's okay.
Gotcha. Mr. Mayor, you would, sorry about that.
Can we do a roll call?
No, you don't have to do a roll call. Sorry, I was interrupting your vote. I apologize.
Okay. I think we had a majority for ayes. Any nays?
Okay.
One nay. That's so noted. Okay.
That's fine.
But you're not a gateway. And the whole idea of the whole 66, the whole historical thing, and having the entrances to the town be not an eyesore. What happens behind the trees, and then you got to go to a certain extent where you got to go to the landowner property right, which is we got to go back to. Then you got to go to the whole property right. And you already know that when you bought your house, you paid for it, you have to do everyone do it. Right.
8:20, we'll go ahead and call the meeting back to order. You want to give the certification here?
The motion certified would be that the council certified in closed session just concluded nothing was discussed except the matter or matters specifically identified in the motion for the beginning of the closed session and lawfully permitted to discuss the provisions of the Virginia Freedom Information Act cited in that.
Aiken?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Harness?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Scarborough?
Yes.
Henry?
I take no closed session, therefore you will not vote.
All right. All right, I move that Officer Jeffrey Shaver be appointed interim town sergeant during the suspension of Chief Rube, and that he be assigned the temporary rank of police sergeant. This motion does not change the assignment of duties made at the council's January 20, 2014 meeting.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Harness?
Yes.
Scarborough?
Yes.
Henry? Vice?
I am staying. I wasn't even part of the discussion.
I further direct Sergeant Shaver and Brian Henshaw to work together to alter the police department schedules as needed to maximize coverage.
Motion's been seconded by Ms. Harness, or excuse me, Ms. Scarborough. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Aiken?
Well, that was a direction,
Yeah.
not a motion. Any objections to that? Okay. I make a motion to hire Officer Randy Anderson part-time at $18.27 an hour with no benefits for not more than 24 hours a week through April 8th, 2014.
Second.
Okay. Motion is seconded by Councilman Bear. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Harness?
Yes.
Scarborough?
Yes.
Henry? Vice?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries.
And that is all I had.
Was there a vote on your scheduling?
Yes.
Motion?
Well, it wasn't a vote, it was a
Just a
direction.
direction. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I was, again, that's the time of our conversation with our attorney.
Councilman, Mr. Aiken?
No, I think I got everything covered.
Councilman Bear?
I'm good.
Ms. Harness?
I'm good.
Scarborough?
I just want to make the council aware that we're having some issues at the old area of our house where the pantry is. There's water's been getting into the basement, but Brian is aware of it, and he's got our contractors on top of it. But I assume there's probably water in it again after all the rain we had today.
Memory serves me correctly, that's an unfinished dirt basement, is it not?
Yeah. But it will tend to rot the timbers, and
Right.
you'll have structural images. And you should also check at the other, the old police department
Right.
place as well, because that probably has water as well. So that's it.
Mr. Henshaw, it looks like you made notice of that.
Yeah, we've actually already been working.
Great.
Yeah.
We've had to pump out a basin already.
Mr. Kimberly?
No comment.
Mr. Tobias?
Brian, did the Washington Street Realty folks get back to you in the last few days about sign options?
Vice Mayor Tobias, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I should have brought that up in our manager's report. We haven't reached any conclusions yet. We're actually going back to the drawing board to see if we can figure something that might be a viable compromise. They did understand. They were a little bit disappointed, but they do understand. They want to comply with our wishes, and so we're going to see if there's something that we can bring that would make sense for the history of the building, but also achieve their goals as far as visibility. So we are working.
Thank you. Have you done any more research on our discussion around Christmas time in regards to the planting of an actual live tree in the town center green so that we don't go through the debacle of having to have the fire department help us install a Christmas tree next year?
I have not gotten there yet. We will look into that most definitely. One of the things that we actually might want to look into possibly instead of is seeing about getting a fairly large size artificial tree as opposed to a live tree. The only reason is because it really just depends on what the, well, I'm not saying I'm a big fan of the artificial tree, but the only thing I would say is like it would depend on what the ground's like and make sure you know. I've had bad experience trying to get a Christmas tree to grow. But we have a lot of
Christmas tree. It just has to be a big pointed green shaped looking tree. I would argue that the tree that we just had wasn't very Christmas shaped.
Yes, it was odd.
So
large.
I just think too large. Future endeavors in that regard would be better served by a town center tree.
Okay. We will definitely look into that and see if we can come up with an appropriate option.
I don't think you're going to find an artificial tree that big anyway.
All right. Any further comments, Mr. Device?
A lot of things out of plastic.
That's true. That's what it is. No.
All right. No comment. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye. Jeff, give me 5 minutes. Now I need to talk to you.